It's not often that we have two big tractors in the farmyard, but at the moment we've got our own Quadtrac here, which we had new this year, and we just had a demonstration of this John Deere yesterday. I just bought the Quadtrac, so we're not looking to change it obviously for a few years, but while this is in the yard I just thought I'd give you a quick look at it. It's a 9460R. One of the big differences, I suppose, obviously it's on wheels, not tracks, but also there's lots of places you can put weight on this thing and take it off to make it lighter. So you can see it's got a big bracket on the front where you can hang some weights. It's also got possibilities of adding weights on the wheels, as you can see. There's some weights there on the back. But also on the Quadtrac, the main weight on the back, of course, is the fuel tank. But here, if we just go up in the cab, you can see that rather than having a big fuel tank on the back, it's got this big set of weights that you can put in the middle. So I suppose that you can take all these weights off if you're doing work that doesn't need that kind of weight on the tractor to get some grip. So the fuel tank on the Quadtrac over there, the fuel tank's the whole sort of back carriage bit, but on this the fuel tank is down on the side of the tractor. The cab, very similar to any other John Deere cab. We did try it yesterday and it put it on the subsoiler, and it's had a little bit of rain in the night, and we just changed the points on the subsoiler, and this really actually struggled to pull it. It's got 9 legs on it. It sort of scrapped and it sort of dug a bit of a hole in the ground, but it was sort of slightly unfair because it was slightly greasy on top, and we didn't sort of put it up against the Quadtrac, so I can't really compare the two together. But anyway, it's always interesting to see a new tractor, and even though I'm not going to be changing it because I've just bought this new Quadtrac, it's been an interesting experiment. Obviously with the tyres the ride is not as good as on the Quadtrac with the tracks, but it's 460 horsepower I believe, and I think if you've got a situation where tyres suit you better than tracks, it's obviously something you'd look at. So just having a quick look at the Quadtrac because it's in the yard as well. Obviously with the tracks on, it's a little bit narrower than the John Deere, which makes it a lot easier for taking down the roads. Also there's no provision really for putting weight on the front because it's already on the tractor on the front, and on the back the weight is really this massive great big fuel tank, which it basically lugs around the fields after it. You can see that whole back section is really just a fuel tank. It's all great and it's got great traction, but of course you can't take any weight off this tractor. It's on there and that's that. So just a quick look up in the cab. The typical sort of case red leather seats, all sort of vaguely unnecessary but very comfortable, and as you can see, look, this is just a big tank on the back, so there's no way of taking weight off this tractor unless somebody can tell me any otherwise, which, as I say, is great for traction, but sometimes with some of the jobs we do it would be quite nice to possibly take a bit of weight off. But it's a great cab. I think the cabs actually are very similar. There's lots of room inside them, and there's very little to choose between them. Probably a little bit better visibility in the John Deere. It feels a little bit dark in here. Probably a bit more window space in the John Deere, which is always great. But as I say, you know, we just changed our old Quadtrac for this new one, so we're not going to be looking to change this for another 5 years. And I think it would take quite a lot to get me away from tracks if that's what we wanted, but certainly the John Deere has been great to have on the farm.